I grew up watching my mother carry shame that wasn't hers to bear. She carried it quietly, through long nights and empty plates, through laughter that wasn't hers, and through tears she never wanted me to see. Our house wasn't a home, it was a struggle wrapped in 4 cracked walls. Rain leaked through the roof. Rats lived under the table. But still, every morning she would say, "We may not have much, but we'll live with our heads held high." People in our community didn't see her strength. They only saw her weakness, or at least what they thought was weakness. Every time she walked to the market with her old torn bag, they'd whisper, "Look at her. Doesn't she have any shame?" And when I was younger, I'd ask her, "Mama, why do you keep smiling when they laugh at you?" She'd reply softly, "Because one day life will show them what real shame feels like." At the time, I didn't understand what she meant. But I do now. My mother worked as a cleaner for the same people who laughed at her. She'd wash their clothes, scrub their floors, and serve them tea at their fancy parties. Once, I overheard one of the women say, "She's always smiling while mopping our dirt, maybe she enjoys being poor." That night, I saw my mother sitting by the window, holding a piece of bread she couldn't finish. She stared at the stars and whispered, "I'm not poor in spirit, just poor in pocket." But karma doesn't sleep. When I finished high school, she couldn't afford to send me to college. I almost gave up, but she sold her only piece of jewelry, a small necklace my late father gave her, just to pay my admission fees. She said, "Education is the only inheritance I can afford to give you. Don't waste it." I promised her I wouldn't. While in school, I worked part-time jobs. There were days I ate once a day, but I didn't complain. I wanted to change her life, and maybe silence those who thought we'd never make it. And I did. After years of grinding, I finally got a stable job and moved to the city. The first thing I did when I saved enough was buy her a new house. Nothing fancy, just decent, peaceful, and hers. When I brought her there, she touched the wall and cried silently. "I've never owned anything new," she said. That moment, I swore to myself, no one would ever mock her again. But fate always waits patiently. Years later, the same people who once laughed at us started losing what they had, not because we wished for it, but because life has a way of turning tables without warning. One by one, their perfect lives began to crack. The woman who mocked my mother for being too poor to breathe, lost her husband and her shop. Another who once refused to let my mother sit beside her at the market became homeless after a fire destroyed her house. And the man who mocked my mother's torn slippers now walks around in worn-out shoes himself, begging for help. My mother never said, "I told you so." She just looked at me and said, "Karma doesn't rush, my son. It takes its time, but it always arrives." Then came the day everything came full circle. One afternoon there was a knock at the door. I opened it and froze. Standing outside was one of the women who used to humiliate my mother the most. Her clothes were torn, her eyes swollen, her voice weak. She said quietly, "Please? I heard your mother lives here." I didn't know where else to go. Before I could say anything, my mother came out. She looked at her, smiled faintly, and said, "It's been a long time. You look tired. Come in." The woman broke down crying. She fell to her knees, holding my mother's hand, and sobbed, "I mocked you when you had nothing. Now I have nothing, and I finally understand how cruel I was. Please, forgive me." My heart was pounding. I wanted to pull her away to remind her of all the pain she caused. But my mother simply lifted her up and said, "Don't cry. Life has already taught you what my words never could." They sat together that day, two women broken by life but reunited by truth. Now, people come from far and near to seek my mother's advice. They call her Mama Grace, not because of religion, but because she carries grace in how she treats even those who wronged her. The same neighbors who once looked down on her now bring her food, seek her opinion, and stand in line outside her gate just to speak with her. And sometimes I sit quietly in the corner, watching. I think of all the years we were shamed, laughed at, and pushed aside. And now, the same people who mocked her poverty can't stop admiring her peace. Because truly life always turns the table. My mother didn't fight back with anger, words, or revenge. She let time and karma do what they do best. Teach lessons no apology can erase. Moral of the story: never mock someone for being poor. Poverty is temporary, but arrogance lasts until karma decides it's time for a lesson. Life may be slow, but it never forgets to balance the scales. If this story touched you, kindly support us by leaving a like, sharing, and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on any of our stories. Thanks for watching.